For 30 years, Phil Mickelson was the face of golf. The smile, the fist pumps, the 6 majors. And through it all, Amy stood beside him, the ultimate power couple. But that image is hanging by a thread right now. The golf world is buzzing for all the wrong reasons. Whispers about Amy filing for separation. Whispers about another accuser she can no longer tolerate. This is not just gossip. It ties directly to a story buried inside exclusive country clubs for years. A story that explains exactly why Amy's patience finally ran out. Amy did not wake up one day fed up. Something triggered this. And that trigger is the another accuser everyone is talking about. An accusation that happened behind closed doors. It involves a fellow player's wife. A recent investigation left even the most loyal fans completely stunned. So, did Amy actually file legal separation papers? Or did she do something far more drastic? What exactly pushed her to the breaking point? Was it the phone tracking, the constant humiliation, or the moment she realized the man she married had become a stranger? We will uncover that. But the answer is not simple. It involves secret meetings, tracking devices, and the moment Amy realized she could not protect his image any longer. You have seen the vague statements released by his team. You have seen the headlines screaming chaos. But nobody is connecting the dots. That changes right now. The Phil you know is desperately fighting for his reputation, and Amy is no longer the silent wife standing in the background. Here is my take. Phil built a legacy of greatness. But when does loyalty become blind trust? When does a private mistake become a public betrayal? Drop your view in the comments. And if you want the full truth, hit subscribe, because the rumors about clubs kicking him out, that is just the surface. What actually happened inside those walls goes much deeper. Stick around. The full truth is coming, and it will change how you see Phil forever. Because here is what most people do not realize. The rumors about Amy finally snapping came from a specific moment, a specific breaking point, and that moment happened inside a private golf club in California. Let us rewind to 2021. Phil was still winning, still smiling, still the beloved lefty. But behind the scenes, something had shifted. Amy had started noticing things. Late nights, strange phone calls, the kind of things that make a wife's instincts scream. And then came the discovery that changed everything. Amy found out Phil had been spending time at a club called Madison Club in La Quinta. Not just playing golf, he had been staying there overnight. And he was not alone. Reports later confirmed Phil was frequently staying with a woman who was not his wife. This was not a one-time mistake. This was a pattern. Amy did not confront him publicly. She picked up the phone and called the club directly. Through their family's wealth management company, she made a demand. She told them Phil's membership had to end immediately. His property had to be sold. She wanted him out. Imagine the humiliation. Imagine knowing your husband's secret life was so blatant that everyone at the club already knew. But here is the chilling part. That was only the beginning. Phil did not stop. He moved to another club, the Bridges in Rancho Santa Fe, and the pattern continued. More late nights, more secrets. Except this time, Phil got smarter. Amy had started tracking his phone, but Phil found a workaround. He would hand his phone to a young employee at the club, pay him $500, and tell him to drive around the course for hours, just to throw Amy off his trail. Think about that level of deception. The planning, the lies, the money spent just to hide the truth. And yet, Amy still found out. Because in a place like the Bridges, everyone talks, and the truth always reaches the one person you are trying to hide it from. That deception alone would have shattered most marriages. But what Amy discovered next made everything before it look minor. That discovery involved Ashley Perez. Ashley is the ex-wife of Pat Perez, a fellow PGA Tour player, and back in 2015, something happened at a tournament that would eventually become the final straw for Amy. It happened during the Barclays Championship in New Jersey. Phil had rented a house for the week. He invited Pat and Ashley to stay with him. They were friends, colleagues. The golf world is a small circle, so it seemed completely normal. 3 people sharing a house during a tournament week. But one evening, the atmosphere changed. They were sitting on the patio, drinking wine. Pat got up to use the bathroom. He left Phil and Ashley alone. For just a few minutes. That was all it took. What happened in those few minutes is the reason Amy is no longer standing silently by his side. What happened is the reason the words, "another accuser," are now attached to Phil's name. And what happened is the reason Amy finally said, "Here is what Ashley later revealed." Phil pulled out his phone. He showed her a photograph, but it was not a golf swing. It was not a family picture. It was a photo of himself, fully naked, in an aroused state, and then he flexed his bicep. Then came the words that sealed everything. Phil looked at Ashley and said, "I will leave my bedroom door open tonight. After Pat falls asleep, you come find me." Think about the audacity, the confidence, the complete disregard for boundaries. This was not a drunk mistake. This was a calculated move. A man who believed he could do anything and get away with it. Ashley refused. She was horrified. She told Pat immediately, and Pat was furious. He called it unforgivable. Pat and Ashley are no longer married. They divorced in 2023. This moment was a turning point, a wound that never fully healed. Phil thought that moment was buried in the past. But the past has a way of catching up, and when it did, it brought Amy's breaking point with it. Fast forward to 2026. Ashley Perez broke her silence. She posted on social media. Her words were chilling. She said she would stand up with millions of silenced women, women who had been suppressed to protect darkness. She did not name Phil directly. She did not have to. Everyone already knew. And that is when the floodgates opened. Reporters started digging deeper. The hidden stories began to surface. The Madison Club, the bridges, the farms. One by one, the secrets started spilling out. Let us talk about the farms. A private club in San Diego, one of the most exclusive in the country. Phil had been a member there for years, but in early 2026, something happened. A female employee reported an incident. She said Phil made unwanted physical contact, inappropriate contact, the kind that makes someone feel unsafe. The club investigated. They confronted Phil directly on the course, in front of other members. They asked him to leave, and he did. His team later released a statement saying any misunderstanding had been cleared up. But that statement was careful. It did not deny everything. Now let us zoom out. 3 clubs, 3 separate incidents. Madison Club, the bridges, the farms, and each time, Amy was either directly involved or found out later. Each time, she had to deal with the fallout. Each time, her husband's behavior forced her into an impossible position. By now, you might be asking yourself one question. If Amy knew all of this, why did she stay so long? The answer is more complicated than you think. Amy has always been fiercely protective of Phil's image, of their family, of their children. Amanda was born in 1999, Sophia in 2001, Evan in 2003. They grew up watching their father conquer the golf world. Amy did not want to destroy that for them. She wanted them to remember their father as a hero. And then came the health crisis. One of their children got sick, seriously ill. The details have stayed private. But it is known that Phil stepped away from golf to be with the family. He missed tournaments. He missed the majors. People assumed it was because of LIV golf. But the truth was more personal. His family needed him. Amy had to make a choice. Air all the dirty laundry while her child was suffering, or stay quiet, protect the kids from the public storm. She chose the latter. She chose to stand by Phil, at least on the surface. But that does not mean she forgave him. Actions speak louder than words. Look at what she did with Madison Club. She did not just ask Phil to leave. She demanded it. She made a phone call and ended his membership. Look at what she did with the bridges. She tracked his phone. She caught him in the lie. This is not a woman who is blind to the truth. This is a woman who knows exactly what is happening, and she has been choosing her moments carefully. So when you hear the rumors about separation, ask yourself this: is it really that surprising? Or is it the inevitable ending to a story that has been building for years? Now let us talk about the present. 2026. Phil is 56 years old. He has not played in a major all year. For the first time in his career, he missed every single one. The Masters, the PGA, the US Open, the Open. Gone, all of them. He played one live golf event, just one, back in March, in South Africa. He finished 48th out of 57 players. Phil Mickelson, 6-time major champion, finishing near the bottom against a field that is not even the strongest in golf. That is not a slump. That is a collapse. And the PGA Tour? He cannot go back. Not easily. When he joined LIV in 2022, he burned bridges. He sued the tour. He called them greedy. The return path would involve heavy fines and suspensions. At 56, Does he even want to go through that? His reputation has taken a beating. The fans who cheered him are now questioning everything. The sponsors are pulling back. The media is circling. And the people who once defended him are staying silent. But the most significant blow came from the person who knew him best. Amy released a public statement through Phil's spokesperson. Her words were carefully chosen. She said Phil had shown her his remorse. She said she believed in second chances. She said a man is not defined by his failures, but by his efforts to repair them. Now read that again. Did she say she forgave him? Did she say their marriage was strong? Did she say she was standing by him unconditionally? No. She said he was trying to repair things. She acknowledged the damage, and then she left it there. That statement was not a full-throated defense. It was not a passionate declaration of love. It was measured, strategic, designed to protect the family, while saying very little about the actual state of the marriage. Amy is done covering for him. She is done pretending everything is fine. She might not have filed legal separation papers yet, but she has separated herself emotionally. She has created distance. She has drawn a line, and that line might be the most important detail in this entire story, because where does Phil go from here? That is the question nobody can answer. Not his agents, not his lawyers, not even Phil himself. He is 56. He has money. He has fame. But he has lost something more valuable: trust. The trust of his wife, the trust of his peers, the trust of the fans who worshipped him, and the trust of the sport that made him famous. The clubs have moved on. The women who came forward have moved on. They are telling their stories now, not for revenge, but for something simpler: truth. Ashley Perez said she was standing with millions of silenced women. Those are not the words of someone seeking attention. Those are the words of someone who has finally found the courage to speak. She chose honesty, and that honesty opened a door. It allowed other stories to come out. It allowed people to connect the dots. It allowed Amy to finally see the full picture. Not just the cheating, not just the lies, but the pattern, the years of behavior hidden behind smiles and 6 majors. Here is the question every golf fan is asking. Can Phil ever come back from this? Not just in golf, but in life, in his marriage, in the eyes of the public. Some people say yes. They point to the fact that he is still Phil Mickelson, still a legend. They say everyone makes mistakes, but the other side asks a harder question. When do mistakes become a character flaw? When does a bad decision become a pattern of behavior? And when does a person's reputation become irreparable? Think about the body of work. It is not one accusation. It is not one club. It is a collection, a pattern, the kind of pattern that makes people realize this is about who Phil has been for a long time. Amy knows this now. She has seen the pattern up close. She has tracked the phones, made the calls, watched the lies unfold. She has been married to Phil for 35 years, and 35 years of watching someone change is a long time. So when you hear the phrase, Amy can no longer take another accuser, you now understand what that means. It is not about one new allegation. It is about the accumulated weight of everything that came before it. The final chapter is not written yet. Amy has not filed legal separation papers, at least not publicly. The marriage might survive, or it might not. But one thing is clear. The Phil we thought we knew is gone. The image of the smiling champion, the devoted husband, that image has been replaced by something more complicated. And maybe that is the real tragedy. Not that Phil fell from grace, but that the grace he had was always built on a foundation that was not as solid as it seemed. The golf world will move on. New stars emerge. New stories capture our attention. But for those of us who remember the celebrations, the fist pumps, the moments of joy, there is something bittersweet about watching it all unravel. Here is my final thought. Phil gave us decades of incredible golf. Nothing can take that away. But he also gave us a lesson about the difference between a public image and a private reality, and a reminder that the people we admire are just people, flawed, complicated, capable of greatness and capable of failure. Amy made her choice. She chose to protect her family. She chose to stand by him publicly while drawing lines privately. She chose to support him while making it clear that her patience had limits. That takes strength, more strength than most of us can imagine. What happens next is up to them, up to Phil, up to Amy, up to the people who still believe in redemption. But one thing is certain, the story of Phil and Amy is no longer just a love story. It is no longer just a golf story. It is a cautionary tale, A reminder that behind every headline is a real family, real pain, and real questions that may never be fully answered. Now I want to hear from you. Is Phil still worthy of your respect? Do you believe in second chances, or do you think some lines cannot be uncrossed? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you made it this far, hit subscribe, because this is just the beginning. The golf world is changing fast, and we are going to cover it all. Thanks for listening, and we will see you in the next one.